It's week 16 of the NFL season, and here are my predictions for this week. But first, how did I do in week 15? In week 15, I was 10-6 in my predictions. Starting off the week on Thursday Night Football, we have the 7-7 Saints versus the 7-7 Rams. Last week, the Saints won 24-6 against the Giants. Derek Carr completed 23 of 28 passes for 218 yards and had 3 touchdowns. And Alvin Kamara had 66 yards rushing and 44 yards receiving. The Rams also won on Sunday, 28-20 against the Commanders, and have now won 4 out of their last 5 games. Kyren Williams had 27 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown, and Cooper Kupp had 8 receptions for 111 yards and 1 touchdown. And I have the Rams winning. On Saturday, we have the 8-6 Bengals versus the 7-7 Steelers. The Bengals beat the Vikings 27-24, and they have now won 3 games in a row. Jake Browning had another great game with 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And T. Higgins had 4 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers are coming off a 30-13 loss to the Colts, and they have now lost 4 out of their last 5 games. And Mason Rudolph is expected to start this week, and the Bengals will win. Next, the 8-6 Bills versus the 5-9 Chargers. The Bills are coming off of a massive win, 31-10 against the Cowboys, and they really needed to win that to stay in playoff contention. And right now, they are 9th in the AFC and are 4-5 in conference games. But in that game versus Dallas, Josh Allen only attempted 15 passes, but James Cook had 179 yards rushing and a touchdown, and the team combined for 266 yards rushing. And the Chargers played horrible last week, losing 63-21 to the Raiders, and the Bills will win. Now moving over to Sunday, we have the 9-5 Browns versus the 8-6 Texans. The Browns are coming off of a very close win, 20-17 over the Bears. Joe Flacco completed 28 of 44 passes for 374 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And Amari Cooper had 4 receptions for 109 yards and a touchdown. And David Njoku had 10 receptions for 104 yards and a touchdown, and now has 69 receptions for 704 yards and 5 touchdowns, which are all career highs. And the Texans are coming off a 19-16 win in overtime against the Titans. Devin Singletary had 26 carries for 121 yards in this game, and Noah Brown had 8 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. And CJ Stroud should return from his concussion, but I have the Browns winning. Next, the 4-10 Commanders versus the 5-9 Jets. Last week, the Commanders lost 28-20 to the Rams, and the Jets lost 30-0 to the Dolphins. But I still think the Jets will win. Next, the 7-7 Seahawks versus the 5-9 Titans. The Seahawks are coming off of a huge win, 20-17 over the Eagles, and that broke their 4-game losing streak. The Eagles were winning that game 17-13, but Jackson Smith and Jigba had a 29-yard touchdown with 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter to take a 20-17 lead. And the Titans lost 19-16 in overtime to the Texans, and I have the Seahawks winning. Next, the 8-6 Colts versus the 6-8 Falcons. The Colts blew out the Steelers 30-13. Gardner Minshew completed 18 of 28 passes for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Michael Pittman Jr. had 4 receptions for 78 yards and now has 99 receptions and 1,062 yards. And the Falcons lost 9-7 to the Panthers. And I had the Colts winning. Next, the 6-8 Packers versus the 2-12 Panthers. The Packers are coming off a 34-20 loss to the Buccaneers. Jordan Love completed 29 of 39 passes for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Dontavian Wicks had 6 receptions for 97 yards. And the Panthers got their second win of the season by winning 9-7 over the Falcons. In that game, they scored all their points from 3 field goals, but the Packers are going to win. Next, the 10-4 Lions versus the 7-7 Vikings. This is their first matchup of the season, and that is very surprising that they play weeks 16 and 18. The Lions are coming off of a 42-17 win over the Broncos. Jared Goff had 278 yards and 5 touchdowns, and rookie tight end Sam Laporta had 5 receptions for 56 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the Vikings lost 27-24 in overtime to the Bengals. Nick Mullins completed 26 of 33 passes for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Ty Chandler had 23 carries for 132 yards and a touchdown. And Jordan Addison continued to have a great rookie year with 6 receptions, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that brings him up to 62 receptions, 824 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And I have the Lions winning. Next, the 8-6 Jaguars versus the 7-7 Buccaneers. The Jaguars are coming off of a 23-7 loss to the Ravens. In that game, Trevor Lawrence had 264 yards and a touchdown, but he also lost 2 fumbles. And the Buccaneers won 34-20 over the Packers, and Baker Mayfield had a great game, completing 22 of 28 passes for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. And he is the first player to ever have a perfect passer rating on the road at Lambeau. And on the season, Baker Mayfield has 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And he has a chance to end the season in the MVP conversation. And I have the Buccaneers winning. Next, the 3-11 Cardinals versus the 5-9 Bears. The Cardinals are coming off of a 45-29 loss to the 49ers, and the Bears are coming off of a 20-17 loss to the Browns. And I have the Bears winning. Next, the 10-4 Cowboys versus the 10-4 Dolphins. The Cowboys are coming off of a 31-10 loss to the Bills. Dak Prescott completed 21 of 34 passes for 134 yards and an interception, and has probably fallen out of the MVP race. And the Dolphins are coming off of a 30-0 win over the Jets. Tua completed 21 of 24 passes for 224 yards and a touchdown. And Raheem Mostert had 42 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And he now has 18 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns on the season. And because the Dolphins have been so good at home this year, I have them winning. Next, the 3-11 Patriots versus the 7-7 Broncos. The Patriots lost again last week, 27-17 to the Chiefs. And the Broncos got blown out 42-17 to the Lions. In that game, Jerry Jeudy had 3 receptions for 74 yards, and Cortland Sutton had 5 receptions for 71 yards. And I think the Broncos are going to win. And on Monday, there are 3 Christmas games, and before getting into those games, I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone watching. Next, the 6-8 Raiders versus the 9-5 Chiefs. The Raiders blew out the Chargers last week, 63-21. Aiden O'Connell completed 20 of 34 passes for 248 yards and 4 touchdowns. And wide receiver Jacoby Myers completed 2 passes for 12 yards and a touchdown. And the Chiefs won 27-17 over the Patriots, and Patrick Mahomes had 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice had 9 receptions for 91 yards and a touchdown. And I have the Chiefs winning. Next, the 5-9 Giants versus the 10-4 Eagles. The Giants are coming off of a 24-6 loss to the Saints, and the Eagles lost 20-17 to the Seahawks. And Jalen Hurts passed for 143 yards and 2 interceptions, and had 82 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. But the Eagles have now lost 3 games in a row, but they should bounce back and win. And finally, the 11-3 Ravens versus the 11-3 49ers. The Ravens won 23-7 against the Jaguars. Lamar Jackson had 171 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, and had 12 carries for 97 107 yards rushing. And Isaiah Likely had 5 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. And the 49ers won 45-29 against the Cardinals. And Brock Purdy completed 16 of 25 passes for 242 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Christian McCaffrey had 115 yards rushing and 1 touchdown and 5 receptions for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns, and now has a combined 20 total touchdowns on the season. Coming into this game, the Ravens have won 4 games in a row, and the 49ers have won 6 games in a row. I think this is going to be a very close game, but I have the 49ers winning. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.